Hi guys, so we are continuing the G module and today we are doing G4, which is circles. So what are the things that we are going to see here? Obviously more properties of circle, introduction to circle and things like that. So the first part, obviously what exactly is circle. Obviously nobody will ask you the standard definition, but in case it helps knowing the things fundamentally. So set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point, which is called as the center. Set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point called as center, something like this. So we take a point constant, and from that point, if we take a fixed distance and if we uh, make some points, and when we join all those points we get a circle. Radius is distance between the center and any point on the circle. It is a fixed distance. It is a constant. It is a constant distance basically. Then the next part is diameter. Diameter is distance between the 2 points on the circle passing through the center. That is called as diameter. The next one is basically the relationship, which is diameter is twice the radius. D is 2r. Everybody knows that from the school days. The next one, circumference. Circumference is area. Sorry, circumference is distance around the circle. We also call it as perimeter of the circle, which is given by the formula 2 pi r or pi d as well. The next one, semicircle. Semicircle is half of the circle. Next one is secant. So secant is a line that intersects the circle at two different points, something like this. Then there is something called as chord. Chord is a segment joining any 2 points on the circle. That is called as chord. So the difference between secant and chord is that secant is a line, whereas chord is a fixed distance. It's a segment basically. Let's study the properties of chord. The first one, perpendicular drawn from the center of the circle to any chord will bisect the chord. So you drop a perpendicular, it will divide the chord into two equal parts. Then equal chords are equidistant from the center. If we replicate the same length anywhere on the circle, that length will also be at the same distance from the center of the circle. And equal chords cut equal arcs on the circle. So the arcs which are enclosed by those two chords, they are also equal because the chords are also equal. And lastly, diameter is the largest or the longest chord. So these are the properties of chord. Again, you will require to know them as far as your solving of the questions is concerned. The next term is tangent. Tangent is defined as a line which touches the circle at one point, something like this. And now let's study the properties of tangent. The first one, the radius is perpendicular to the tangent at its point of contact. Second one, from any external point you can draw two tangents to the same circle, and the best part is both these tangents are equal in length. So these are the properties related to tangent. The next one, arc. Arc is basically part of the circumference of the circle, something like this, and hence the formula is also related to circumference of the circle. And then how do we measure this arc? So measure of this arc is actually the angle that it makes with respect to the center of the circle. So suppose it makes an angle theta, and that is how we measure the arc. Now depending on this value of theta, you have two categories. If theta is less than 180, you have a minor arc. Theta is more than 180, you have a major arc. The next one is angle subtended by an arc at any point on the circumference are equal. So anywhere on the circumference, whatever angle it subtends, all these angles are gonna be same. And also all those angles anywhere on the circumference are half of the angle that it makes at the center. So anywhere on the circumference is alpha, at the center it has to be 2 alpha. So these are the properties as far as arcs are concerned. Obviously the formula is theta upon 360 into 2 pi r. 2 pi r because it is associated with the circumference of the circle. The next one, sector. Sector is part of the area of the circle enclosed between the two radius and the arc. So it is associated with the area of circle. Remember, so formula will include area of circle ka formula. That's how you should differentiate. That's how you should remember. Again, depending on the value of theta, you will have two types. One is major sector, one is minor sector. And then the formula straight away, area of sector is theta upon 360 into pi r square. Next one is segment of a circle. Segment of a circle, something like this kind of a figure you will see. Perimeter is two things. Not only it is including an arc, but some constant part c as well. So theta upon 360 into 2 pi r plus c is the perimeter of a segment of a circle. Area is basically the area of the semicircle. The area of the arc, which is theta upon 360 into pi r square, and out of which we need to subtract the triangle, the triangle with the center, which is half into r square sine theta. Half into ab sine theta is the formula that we are using here. That's how you get the area of the segment of a circle. The next portion is some properties of diameter. The first one, diameter subtends an angle 90 degree on the circumference. Anywhere on the circumference it makes a right angle. Then inside the circumference it makes an angle which is more than 90 degree, that is obtuse angle. And anywhere outside the circle it makes an angle less than 90 degree, that means it makes an acute angle outside the circumference. So these are the three standardized properties of diameter as far as the angle that it subtends with respect to the different positions on the circle, inside the circle, outside the circle. Okay, the next one is some more general properties of circle. The first one is cyclic quadrilateral. Cyclic quadrilateral, as the name suggests, the quadrilateral will have its vertices on the boundaries of the circumference of the circle, something like this. The properties of cyclic quadrilateral, the first one, the opposite angles are supplementary. So opposite angle will add up to 180 degree, A and C and B and D. That is what supplementary is meant by. The next property is cyclic parallelogram is a rectangle. The oblique side isosceles trapezium. The next one, area of a cyclic quadrilateral. Area of a cyclic quadrilateral is given by a formula which is actually Heron's formula. If you remember the area of the triangle ka formula, out of which you just remove that additional s. So the formula becomes square root of s minus a into s minus b into s minus c into s minus d, where a, b, c, d are the sides of the cyclic quadrilateral, and a, b, c, d, s is the semi-perimeter of the cyclic quadrilateral. So this is how you can find the area of the cyclic quadrilateral. The next part is few theorems that we have to see. The first one is tangent secant theorem, or we also call it alternate segment theorem. What the theorem says, the angle between the tangent and the secant at the same point, angle between the tangent and the secant at the same point, suppose this angle alpha is equal to angle made by the enclosed arc anywhere on the circumference, is equal to angle made by the enclosed arc anywhere on the circumference, something like this. So the blue one is the enclosed arc. That arc makes a same angle alpha anywhere on the circumference. This is such a beautiful theorem because it has so many immense applications as far as solving is concerned. So remember, folks, obviously one more challenge with geometry is that everything is there right in front of your eyes in terms of the diagram. You just need to have that kind of vision to see through it so as to simplify. So for example, it may not be used like this only. For all you know, the other one is the angle and the shaded one is the arc, and it makes an angle beta, something like this on the different side, on the opposite side. So you can apply it on both the sides and get the same conclusion. That's the first of the theorem. The second theorem is two secants which are intersecting externally, so intersecting outside the circle. You have to remember a relation in this case, which is PA into PB is PC into PD. That is, we are supposed to find out measure of angle APC, let that be angle theta, which is equal to half into measure of arc BD minus measure of arc AC. How do we measure arc BD and AC? We join them with the center points and we calculate the angle made with respect to the center of the circle. So suppose BD makes an angle alpha and AC makes an angle beta. So the formula becomes theta is equal to half into alpha minus beta. Don't remember theta is equal to half into alpha minus beta because that's not a generalized formula. The main part is the first two lines that you should remember for this particular scenario and apply it if at all you get something similar to solve from. The next theorem is two secants which are intersecting internally, and obviously when the secants intersect internally it becomes chord. So something like this. Again same thing, same relation, PA into PB is PC into PD. Here again you are finding angle APC, or now you can call it angle BPT because they both are vertically opposite, so they will be same, is given by similar formula, half into measure of arc AC plus measure of arc BD. Instead of minus it is plus now. Again, how do we measure arc AC and BD? You count their angle with respect to the center of the circle, which is alpha and beta respectively. So formula becomes theta is equal to half into alpha plus beta. That's your next theorem. The third and the last theorem probably is tangent and the secant intersecting externally, something like this. One tangent, one secant. There's a difference. Relation is PA into PB is PC square. Measure of angle APC is measure of arc BC, half into measure of arc BC minus measure of arc AC. BC and AC, join them with the center points, you will get their angles, suppose alpha and beta respectively. Formula becomes theta is equal to half into alpha minus beta. This is the reason why I asked you not to remember half into alpha minus beta, because you have something similar exactly in the first theorem as well, and hence you should always remember it with the basic fundamental way and not the specific scenarios. The next part is basically common tangents. In that also we would have two scenarios. One is called as direct common tangent and one is called as transverse common tangent. Now what do we mean by direct common tangent is the tangent will touch the circle, both the circles on the same side of the center. For example, something like this. As you can see, there is a tangent touching both the circles on the same side of the center at points P and Q respectively, and then the two radiuses of the circle R1 and R2, and then the properties of the radius and the tangent, that radius we have been given the center distance, suppose AB, which is D, and L is what we are supposed to find out, or vice versa. L is given, D is what we are supposed to find out. Then what we need to do is some slight bit of adjustments. For example, just take that line AB, shift parallelly upwards, and what you end up doing is you form a small right angle triangle. Let's enhance that right angle triangle, this one, the shaded one, and you clearly see L and D is are the two sides. The other one is going to be R1 minus R2. And now using a Pythagoras theorem here, you can say L square is equal to D square minus R1 minus R2 the whole square, or L is equal to square root of D square minus R1 minus R2 the whole square. The next part is transverse common tangent. Transverse common tangent, obviously, when the tangent will be touching the circle from opposite sides of the center, something like this. So now again the same process. Center points we know, A and B, and the touching points also we know. Then the radius and the tangent ka property, which is R1 and R2. So again what we can do is joining the center to center distance D, and R1 is the radius, R2 is the other radius. Now again what we can do is L is something we know, which is the distance which is PQ, and that is exactly what we are going to find out. Center to center distance is what we know, D, sorry. Again what we can do, we can shift this line AB parallelly downwards, and now again we can form the right angle triangle. So right angle triangle is what we have, and again we can use the Pythagoras theorem, which is gonna be the answer. So again, using the Pythagoras theorem here, the three sides are L and D and R1 and R2. Again we can use the formula and we get the answer. L square is equal to D square minus R1 plus R2 the whole square. So instead of R1 minus R2 the whole square, we are getting R1 plus R2 the whole square. That's what we have. So formula is L is equal to square root of D square minus R1 plus R2 the whole square. That's what transverse common tangents are for you folks. So with this, we are done with the properties of the circle. Go through them, and it is very important that you know them all probably. Only then you would be able to solve the questions based on this type of questions. Thank you so much.